Hey Sin, I'm a RN, been struggling with hair loss since COVID started around March 2020. Hair at my temples/edges were balding. Before that, I had all the bad hair habits, leaving braids in for months, co-washing instead of shampoo. Dermatologist said it was fungal, but meds he gave me didn't help. Second dermatologist gave steroid shots in the scalp, which stopped the progression of balding, but did not grow back hair. Then my dad died in May 2020. My hair had really fell out a lot. Third dermatologist prescribed minoxidil and steroid shots. She said it was a bacteria infection. Gave me antibiotics. Hair had started to grow back, but then my mom passed in 2021. Lost all the progress I had made and then some. Bought a house in November of 2021. Stressful process. Lost all of my hair in the back of my head. Really, I'm frustrated. Is bacterial, fungal, stress, a combination of all three? I decided to try your 7-day challenge. Hopefully, I will learn something. Let's get into this.
Trust that exactly where you are is where you're meant to be. So keep your chin up so your crown doesn't fall. Remember, you're royalty.
Before we get started, make sure you go ahead and subscribe here to my channel and then click on that bell notification so you're notified every time I post another video. Give this video a thumbs up and comment as we go along so you can let YouTube know that you like my channel and you want to be notified every time I post another video. Now, in this video, everything that I am about to say, regardless of how my voice makes you feel, I am coming from a place of love. People in general just need to be more attuned with their bodies and know what works for them. I use grease and never had any issues. I had issues when I followed social media and stopped doing what worked for me, but what worked for these influencers. As a result, my hair broke off and my scalp was red and inflamed from being dry. When I went back to old school hair products, my hair grew back longer and healthier and my scalp isn't irritated. I need grease and oil. I only do what works for me now. At the end of the day, it's about listening to one's own body. This is the problem that most Black women have today. You guys love to say what works for one person, everybody's different. This is the thing. Yeah, we're all different, but at the end of everything, at the base of everything, the makeup of the human body is pretty much the same. Everybody has a heart, everybody has lungs, everybody has a respiratory system, everybody for the most part has 4 fingers and 2 thumbs. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, everybody's different to a certain extent, but the body works the same. Let's break it down, because first off, let's start with you saying that your dry scalp was what caused inflammation. Dry scalp does not cause inflammation. If the scalp is giving you the illusion of being dry, it's because there is a bacteria infection within the scalp's follicle. The body does not have the ability to be dry if everything is done properly, because the body has a sebaceous gland. Let's look at that. Can we end this conversation? One of the main reasons why most of you feel like dermatologists are irritated with you when you go inside of their appointments is because most women, when they tell me that they go to a dermatologist, they tell them how much they have to grease their scalp and how much their body does not produce oil. I do not care how long your grandma and your mama have been greasing your scalp. Stop putting oil in your scalp. It leads to inflammation. Look at this picture and look at the arrow that is, or the line that is pointing to the sebaceous gland. The sebaceous gland is the gland within the hair's follicle that produces the oil called sebum. Now look at this sac that the line that is pointing from the sebaceous gland is pointing to. You will also notice that this picture is illustrating the sebum coming out of that sac known as the sebaceous gland and going and getting ready to coat the hair shaft before the hair even pokes out of the follicle. Before hair even pokes out of your skin on your scalp, it is already coated with oil. And the only thing that you should be doing is making sure that the scalp stays clear so that pathway is not blocked. Because if that pathway is blocked, it leads to inflammation that looks like this. So I love y'all, and I don't care how many of y'all I trigger. I don't care what anybody says. You do not need to put oil on your scalp as a black woman. No one needs to put oil on their scalp. And the more you oil your scalp, the more you cause inflammation. Look at this illustration. Look at where it says the sebaceous, right? Where that sebaceous gland is. The sebaceous gland is connected to the hair shaft. Like I just said, that oil is going to be on your hair shaft before it even pokes through the skin. And do you see this pocket, the epidermis? The epidermis should always be clean and clear, right? But look at what happens when it becomes blocked. When it becomes blocked, what ends up happening, look at the hair that is within that follicle, okay? It begins to close up because it's blocked. And you see the sebum that could get out and go on the epidermis, it now can't get out because that pocket is closing tighter and tighter. What closes the pocket? Your coconut oil, your blue magic, okay, your pink oil moisturizer. These are all of the products that black women have been using for years. I do not care what any of y'all are talking about in my comments. When you grease your scalp, you cause oxidative stress to the hair shaft, period. Now, your body's releasing sebum all the time. It's creating sebum within the sebaceous gland at this very second that you're watching the video, right? But if you're constantly greasing the scalp and oiling the scalp, I need oil, I need grease. Okay, the more you oil the scalp, the more you grease the scalp, the more you block the epidermis, the more you block this pocket, and that pocket becomes inflamed. So all of the other bacteria that's supposed to come out, and I'll show you in a second, all of that other bacteria and everything else that wants to come out, it cannot get out, because you constantly put a cap. And as you keep going along, you can see the sebum is constantly trying to come out, but it can't. So it's just accumulating there, and there's more and more inflammation till at one point it begins to become encapsulated at the top. Then at that point, that's where the inflammation sets in, because now all of the bacteria has now accumulated, all of the sebum has accumulated, all of the bacteria has accumulated, and now what is happening, you are triggering oxidative stress within the hair shaft with all of this inflammation, because now all of these free radicals that were supposed to be cleansed off the scalp, but you didn't do it because you were co-washing your hair, they couldn't come off. So now you have all of this inflammation. That is what happens when you are constantly greasing the scalp and constantly oiling the scalp. You do not need to oil the scalp. And we love to say that everybody's different. No, we're not. Everybody's getting the same exact type of inflammation. And the reason that when you guys go to dermatologists, they seem irritated or they seem short is because, do you know what it will feel like? Put yourselves in their shoes. To your job is to constantly go to work and repeat yourself over and over and over and over again. So the beauty at the very, very beginning of this video, I went ahead and asked her, I said, okay, so what were your practices before you went in to see the dermatologist? Like what were you doing before you went? And she said before she went to see her dermatologist, she would only co-wash her hair every 2 weeks. Never shampoo, only co-wash her hair every 2 weeks, and oil her scalp almost every single day. So based on what I just told you, what do you think was going to happen? So my next question was, well, what were you oiling the scalp with? She said hair grease, sulfur-8. So embarrassing. I thought I was doing the right thing. I've recently been cleansing my scalp each week, but still balding in the front with no growth in the back of my head. Listen, if you've been doing that and blocking your follicles and causing that much inflammation for years on years, it will not leave by you just simply shampooing the hair a couple of times. And me and this beauty, I've already let her know exactly what she's supposed to do. I'm just sharing this because there are so many of you in this situation, and you guys think that it's product lines and other things like that that are making your hair fall out, and that is not true. do. It is the practices that you guys have been doing. It's the products that all of these influencers have been toting y'all and telling y'all to get. The products that y'all are putting on y'all hair is what's making y'all hair fall out. And I'm gonna prove it to you again. All right. Oxidative stress, which we'll talk about in a second. Oxidative stress is the main cause of hair damage. Of balding. And I'm going to tell you why. So look at the hair growth cycle. This first phase of the hair growth cycle is the anagen phase, right? The anagen phase is the phase of the hair growth cycle where within the follicle, the body is producing a whole bunch of new hair growth cells. It's just producing a whole bunch of new cells, right? And for the most part, almost over 80% of your body is in the anagen phase at one time, the hair on your head, right? But the canogen phase, as you can see, I want you to look at this picture. This little yellow bubble represents the blood supply. All right, in the canogen phase of the hair growth cycle, which only about 10% of your hair is in at one time, the canogen phase of the hair growth cycle is the phase of the cycle where your hair detaches itself from the blood supply. So for all the people talking about, oh, hair is dead, be quiet. Now, only 10% of your hair at one time should be detaching itself from the blood supply, because if any more than 10% of your hair detaches itself from the blood supply, you'll get bald spots in your head because the hair is coming out in patches, like by the root, because it's detached from the blood supply, right? I want you to also notice what is going on the side. You guys already know what the sebaceous gland is right here on the side. The sebaceous gland is on every illustration, right? It's this little little thing right here on the right hand side of every photo. And I want you to notice how the little squiggly line from the sebaceous gland, there is a direct path along the side of the hair shaft and on the scalp. So for you to constantly tote that you need oil makes no sense. Make it make sense. So for anybody that is, because there's going to be somebody's granddaughter that is going to comment, or somebody's great auntie that is going to comment, if you still, I still need oil. Okay, why? If you can clearly see that God made an oil gland and a clear path for the oil to get up the hair shaft, please explain to me why you still need oil. I'm not going to negate that. Make it make sense to me, because it really does not make sense to me. So anywho, by you constantly greasing the scalp, you create oxidative stress because you block this pathway. So again, the cause of all of this scalp inflammation, the bacteria infections, and all of that comes from you guys blocking the sebaceous gland, and from you guys blocking the follicle and blocking the sweat gland. That is what causes inflammation within the hair's follicle. This is what it looks like. I have been studying this for so long, and if you come in contact with any cosmetologist, real cosmetologist, not one that's playing in hair, real cosmetologist, they're going to tell you not to oil the scalp. But the ones that tell you not to oil the scalp, you don't listen to them, because they probably don't have 100,000 subscribers. They probably don't have 50,000 followers. But the science is here. This is common sense. Forget what everybody else is talking about. And if you negate what I'm saying, negate it with the fact. Make it make sense. If you're looking at this and you can clearly see that your body already has a gland that coats the hair with oil, right? And this isn't just an oil. This isn't a regular oil. It's a very waxy substance, right? And this waxy substance, they call it waxy because it has the ability to coat the hair shaft. And your sebum is made for your level of porosity. You don't have to do anything extra to it. You putting on products on the scalp blocks the pathway and causes inflammation. And when you have inflammation, what you then cause is oxidative stress. And when you have oxidative stress, you cause your hair to detach itself from the blood supply before it's supposed to. So instead of the majority of your hair being in the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle, which is the phase of the hair growth cycle where it's growing all the time, the majority of your hair is detaching itself from the blood supply because it has oxidative stress. Here's an up close picture of what the follicle looks like when you're constantly blocking it with oil that you just have to put on your scalp. The normal cell represents the cells within the hair follicle that make up your hair shaft, right? And this is how everything should be on a regular basis. And you do maintenance. Maintenance is shampooing the hair, combing the hair, making sure the scalp is clean and the hair shaft is clean. These are things so you can keep the hair shaft and the hair follicle at a normal rate, right? But whenever you don't shampoo the hair, or whenever you're only co-washing, or whenever you're constantly blocking the cuticle and blocking the follicle and not letting these free radicals escape, what those free radicals do, they combine together and they feed off of each other and they grow. So the more free radicals you have, those free radicals begin attacking your cells. They begin attacking the cells within the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle. So those cells stop growing, and that hair shaft, all of those hairs that are supposed to be growing, they end up detaching themselves from the blood supply because they're now in oxidative stress. The normal cell has went from one that is being maintained and clean to one that is being attacked. And once it's so attacked that it can no longer defend itself, you can see here, this cell, look at the lines around the cell. It's a bright yellow line around this circle that is representing the cell, right? But the more that cell is attacked, those lines they go from smooth to like wrinkly, and then it goes from like a wrinkly line to the point where all of those free radicals have gained so much strength from them being blocked and not being able to escape, so they're just in there getting stronger and stronger. They end up eating the cell wall. That's what you're looking at, these green lines. It ends up eating the cell wall, and when it eats the cell wall, the cell detaches itself from the blood supply. There's nothing holding on to it. This is what causes scalp inflammation, and the key root of it all is you guys greasing and oiling your scalps. The main reason why everybody's like, oh, dermatologists, they don't even know what causes it, is because most of the dermatologists that y'all are going to are not black. I'm sorry. They're not black. And if they're not black, they don't grease their scalp every day. Why? Because they know the human body. They know that there is a sebaceous gland right on the side of the hair shaft, and they know that your hair follicle is coated with sebum before it breaks through the follicle, which is what makes it possible to be able to break through the follicle in the first place. And they also know that the only reason for any type of scalp inflammation is that free radicals have been allowed to accumulate and grow. That's why they go ahead and give you scalp injections. When they're injecting into the follicle, it's something to kill the bacteria. That's what they're doing. That's why so many women are like, oh, I went to the dermatologist and they gave me this shampoo and it made my hair feel dry. Yes, it's going to make your hair feel dry because they're trying to remove all of the excess oil that is within the follicle, because black women will not stop greasing their scalp. You do not need oil. I'm sorry if it makes you feel away, but you don't. And the longer y'all keep holding on to it, the longer black women are gonna have dandruff, seborrheic dermatitis, scalp psoriasis, eczema, and all of these things. Every black home, every black woman listening to this video, you got at least one sister or one auntie that got one of the illnesses that I just named. Everybody watching this, some form of dandruff, some form of psoriasis. And then I also can bet money that y'all all grease y'all scalp too. There's nothing to argue about, y'all. I'm not telling y'all to go buy nothing. Yes, I have a 7-day challenge that will break everything down for you and hold your hand through a simple technique, a simple 7-day technique that you can make yours forever. But you do not have to take that. I'm offering it to you if you need it, but you don't need me. You can keep it so basic. The longer we argue about stupid stuff, the longer it's going to take anybody to get to any facts or any resolve. Look at the sweat gland. The sweat gland is directly on the follicle, Like, it's right there. Its entryway, its exit route is directly on the scalp. So if you are only co-washing, if you are not shampooing your hair, if you are keeping braids and weaves in your hair for 3 to 4 months at a time, if you are constantly oiling the scalp with Blue Magic, if you are constantly putting oil on the scalp, you do not allow this sweat to come out. And all of the sweat stays trapped in there because it can't come out. It is a fact. If you put a comedogenic oil on the scalp, it's going to block the pore, and it will not allow these things to come out of the follicle. And if nothing can come out of the follicle, nothing can come out of the follicle, even hair. So you can see where the sweat gland is and how the entry pathway is directly up on the scalp. I want you to also look at the sebaceous gland in this illustration. Where is the oil going? Directly up the hair shaft and right on top of the scalp. So at this point, all you have to do is keep your scalp clean, and then make sure that oil that's on the scalp, you just pull it up on your hair. How do you do that? Just grab a freaking brush. Oh my God. So when you hear me irritated, this is why. Because hair care is so freaking easy. Y'all make this so difficult. All of the problems are self-inflicted, and no, these dermatologists are not gonna cure it super fast. You know why? They make so much money off of your stupidity. I'm not calling you stupid, I'm being real. I have relationships with dermatologists, not like that I's married, like business, personal relationships with dermatologists. They're not gonna fight it. Y'all make them so much money because you're gonna constantly keep coming back to them, because they know you don't believe them. They know that they're gonna prescribe you this medication. They're still gonna bill your insurance for everything. They're still gonna get their money. You're gonna go home and say, oh, this drying my hair out. My hair is supposed to have slip. It's supposed to feel smooth. It's supposed to feel silky. And they know you're going to go back home and keep greasing your scalp, because what works for me works for me. And then it's going to feel like it's okay for maybe even years. And then one day your body going to be like, surprise. Most of the illnesses that people pass away from, my father passed away. It seemed like it was abruptly, but it was not abruptly. He had been basically poisoning his body with the foods that he eats on a regular basis. And one day it kicked in. One day his body stopped performing the way that it was supposed to. That's how it's the same thing with your hair. Your hair is not detached from the rest of your body, you guys. Stop greasing the scalp. Let's talk about some things that trigger inflammation. I'm just giving you guys the stuff that you can Google on your own. I have been studying this since I was 19. I am 32 years old. I can talk about this stuff all day, okay? Migraines and tension headaches. What are tension headaches? Tension headaches are classified as headaches that are caused by you. In what ways do most Black women get tension headaches? From tight braids, from wearing tight scarves and stuff like that all the time. And just because you don't have a physical headache, like your head does not hurt, does not mean that you are not causing stress to the follicle. Listen, your channel is a godsend. You have literally saved my hair. I went through the cycle of trying a bunch of new and different products, pills, potions, and all types of witches' brews with no success. My scalp still had issues no matter what I did. My hair was still dry with clumps of hair falling out on wash days no matter what I did. After watching your videos, I threw out all of the products, and now I wash my hair weekly. I use only a few things, whereas Olaplex wasn't working for me before due to all of the extraness I was doing with all of the oils and heavy butters. It is now, and all of my scalp issues have completely and literally went away after 2 weeks. My hair is no longer dry. I do scientific brushing once a week, and I can see and feel exactly what you're talking about with the sebum traveling down the hair shaft. I don't need Listen, I'm sorry, it just made me excited. I don't find the need to oil or grease my scalp. Hey, it's been a couple of months and my hair and scalp is flourishing and the growth is insane. Everything you have been saying is absolute facts and it works. I cannot thank you enough. I am not trying to make y'all buy anything. I'm not trying to make your life difficult. I'm trying to make it easier. And if everybody can get off the defensive and get out of this energy of just wanting to freaking argue all the time, we can get somewhere. Okay? Go ahead, check the playlist that I'm gonna leave in the description box below. If you don't want to spend any money with me, just go ahead and look through all of the videos that I have been making for years and start your new routine. Figure it out. But if you want a little bit of help from me, make sure you click the links in the description box below and join my 7-day challenge. It's only $35 one time. You get to be in a group full of women that are in the same situation with you forever. And you guys, you are a part of a group and a team where you're not doing this by yourself. It's only $35, all right? And if you need help detoxing the follicle altogether, Olaplex has this amazing new clarifying shampoo. And it's not just a clarifier, it's a follicle and cuticle detox. It's freaking amazing, all right? Make sure you check the links in the description box below so you can get one. If you use the code _IAMSENDOUT_, you cannot forget that underscore, right? You can go ahead and order their new clarifying bundle where you get the shampoo and the conditioner, right? But when you use my code, what you can also do is add the $16 kit that has 0 and 3 in there. Once you add that to your cart with my code _IAMSENDOUT_, no caps, then you will get a Olaplex number 0 and a Olaplex number 3 for free on me. Okay, I love you all so much. Remember, these are just my 2 recommendations: my 7-day hair growth challenge and the clarifying shampoo from Olaplex. With that combination, I am willing to guarantee you will be good, and you don't have to take my word for it. Check my testimonials, because there are so many people that have finished my 7-day challenge and they do not have this problem, and you won't have to wait months. You'll notice changes in less than a week. Try it out.
Trust that exactly where you are is where you're meant to be. So keep your chin up so your crown doesn't fall. Remember, your royalty.